My dear old things, here I am in the Chelsea Arts Club where I'm talking to you from today. Actually, I'm perched in our bedroom because they've got parties in all the reception rooms downstairs, lunch parties, that is. I'm not wearing Peter Christian clothes today, although I left my that lovely gentleman's smoking cap in the country, and also my Peter Christian trousers. Doesn't matter. Will you please go to the Peter Christian website and have a look at all the wonderful things they offer? And if indeed you want to buy things from them, write in and say use the code word blowers, and then you'll be in real business. It won't cost you quite as much money as it would if you had to pay a delivery charge. Now back to the Gabba. Well, in the first start of the day, England's main batsmen were caught stark naked, forgive the pun, yet again. But then a wonderful, wonderful piece of batting meant that the Australians, in the end, were dumbfounded on the route to Yorkshire. Forgive the puns, I couldn't resist them. Joe Root made 135 not out by the end of the day. In his first 100 in a test match in Australia, it was his 40th 100 in all. It was a magnificent innings. The pressure he was under was great. This whole business of never having scored a test 100 in Australia, although he's been there several times before, was becoming a big burden for him to carry. And he came in and he batted beautifully throughout. And he got there. It wasn't one of his quickest 100s, didn't have to be. It was a day when he held the England innings together and played absolutely brilliantly. Well, England won the toss and batted, which was a good start for them. In the first over, Stark took a wicket for the third innings in this series. He got Crawley out in the first over twice in Perth, and now after Crawley hit a 4 and a 1, Duckett had a pretty good one, which angled in at his off stump, left him a fraction, hit the edge, and Labuschagne did the rest at first slip. This brought in Ollie Pope, who had played two quite decent innings for a short time in Perth. But now in Stark's second over, he played an indeterminate stroke outside the off stump, neither back nor forward, didn't quite know what to do. And it went off the inside edge. There was a gap between bat and pad and into the stumps. And England were 5 for 2. And we thought, oh my goodness, here it goes again. But now Crawley began to bat magnificently. He is a splendid player. He stands up and hits the ball. And he played some wonderful drives. He pulled beautifully, played one or two off the back foot through the cover, or cut them really. And it was a very good piece of batting by him. Joe Root started slowly, and one could see the pressure was on him. And then they put on 117 when Crawley, Nisa, the opening bowler for Australia, bowled him a bouncer. He tried to fetch it from outside off stump, and in fact thought it was going to bounce a little bit higher than it did. And he got the bottom edge and he was caught behind by Carey, and he was out for 76. I should say by now the pitch was very easy, really. I mean, it was a nothing pitch. It was nothing like as fast, I think, as we'd expected, and there was rather less bounce too. Goodness knows quite how it's going to develop as the match goes on. Australia made a rather strange decision early on. Early on before the start, they left out Nathan Nairn, their off-spinner, who is such a wonderful bowler, and I thought that had to be a mistake, because he's such a good bowler, he'll get wickets in any conditions. But their decision was to play a quick attack, and they left the spinner out. Well, after Crawley had been out, Brooke came in and began to play some wonderful strokes. He played a ramp too at Boland, which was not a good stroke and was very lucky not to be stumped. Carey had come up to the stumps to stop the batsman taking guard outside their crease and going down the wicket in the way that Root was and Brooke likes to do. Brooke, with Carey close behind him, tried to play a ramp and missed it entirely, was nowhere near it, and it was a fine piece of keeping, and Carey whipped off the bell, and in fact on the replay showed that Brooke had just got his foot down in time, but it was a near miss. But when he made 31, he had a woeful wild drive outside the off stump, and was caught by the Australian captain Steve Smith at first slip. It was another wickedly irresponsible stroke, and really Brooke, I think, has really got to look to it. Now, he should be ashamed of himself. If he had given made Root the partner he should have done, I think Root would have got to 100 more easily. Well, after that, we had after Crawley was out, Stokes came in, and a couple of edgy falls to start with, and then began to bat quite well until he pushed the ball into the covers to Inglis, called for a single. Root sent him back immediately, and Inglis's throw hit the one stump he could see, a brilliant piece of fielding, and Stokes was out by, 1.5 meters, that sort of thing. And as he went off, Stokes actually clapped Root on the back to forgive him for any misdemeanour, but the run was never on. It was entirely, I thought, Stokes' fault. Well, after that, Stark, with the exception of Jacks, who actually batted very well for 19, apart from that, Stark went through the lower order pretty quickly, and it was just a question of whether Root could get his 100 before the innings ended. And in fact, he did just, and it was wonderful. And then, of course, when the last but one wicket fell, England were 264 for 9. And then Jofra Archer, who is an amusing batsman who loves to flail about him, but has no great staying power, came to the wicket to join Root. And then by the close of play, these two had put on no fewer than 61 runs. It was a marvellous stand, a wonderful piece of batting by Root, who went on, and right at the end, he played a reverse sweep for 6 off Scott Boland. It really was the stroke of the day, and it was sort of somehow, it was the final stamp of Root on the innings, on the match so far. It was a wonderful piece of cricket. Archer flailed about and scored some splendid runs. He's got 32, and these two are still together, although normally what happens on these occasions is that if they're there overnight after a late day partnership, it breaks up. One of them gets out fairly early the next morning. But we will see. Let's hope they can add another 50. It'd be rather exciting, wouldn't it? 100 for the last wicket. Anyway, at the end of the day, England 325 for 9. They're in the match. They aren't obviously in a safe position. There's not enough runs for that. But they are certainly in the match. Now, can Archer and co really deliver the goods with the ball? We shall see that tomorrow. Well now, Peter Christian, don't forget to have a look on the website at all their wonderful goodies. Get that order in, and don't forget to mention the code word blowers, and then you'll get them free with a free delivery. And my goodness me, that's worth having, isn't it?